Hello, it's Zach with a podcast named Tim. Welcome to another Beast Morphers review. Today, episode 8, the Cybergate opens, and we're going to do an episode review, and as always, a monster rating. Today's monster is going to be Vacutron, and we've rated these monsters on a 25-point system, 5 points for 5 different categories. We'll get into that later. Let's go ahead and hop right into the episode, but please like and subscribe before you do that. We open up the episode with Ben tracking Betty. He's looking for his sister. He's got a little tracker that he's looking for her with, and she's hiding in an ice cream machine or a vending machine of some sort. And this tracker is going to come into play later. Nate is working on some new weapons and actually wants to go sample some new animal DNA. But if you remember from a few episodes ago, the commander has a new rule, which is Nate is not allowed to go out into the world without supervision. He is too important to Grid Battle Force, and so he has to have some people to watch over and make sure he stays safe. So while he's going to go get the animal DNA, the other Rangers are going to go join and keep him company. You can tell this is bothering Nate. He feels he's being babied, and no one is taking him seriously. Scrozzle, on the bad guy side, Scrozzle is working on his Cybergate. He needs a robot body. And if you'll remember the Cybergate, we're going to be pulling Evox out of the cyber dimension and bringing him into our dimension so he can get his revenge. But they need a robot body, and Scrozzle says he doesn't have the technical know-how to build a robot that is strong enough to handle all of the data that Evox would require. Of course, the one person who can is Nate. He's a boy genius. And because of that, they need to capture him. Roxy and Blaze are not worried about doing that because they've seen him in action before. They know him and know that he is they perceive him to be a wimp, and so they are going to go capture him. Nate and our Rangers are out in the forest. He finds Mantis DNA, which he says is going to help him program this weapon. That he really needs the DNA to infuse these weapons. Not exactly sure of the science on how all this works, but it works because it's Power Rangers. The Rangers, of course, get a call, but before they do so, we do find out he is scared of spiders. They have to go take care of a Tron that is on the loose, sucking up a bunch of Morphex. And the reason he's doing this is they need a bunch more Morphex in order to power the Cybergate. So while the Rangers go away to deal with this issue, Nate gets Scare Beetle DNA, and he wants to keep poking around. But of course, immediately once the Rangers disappear, the Blaze and Roxy show up. They shoot like a kind of like a spider web kind of thing, like Spider-Man web, but it's like coils, some kind of electronic coils, and it wraps them up. Immediately breaks the communicators. Or his communicator. Gotta say, these communicators have to be super weak. If you remember from episode 5, I think it was, Taking Care of Business, they kept taking them off when they were washing cars because I'm assuming they're not waterproof. And this immediately cracked and broke. So Grid Battle Force needs to pump some more money into the communicator program or the R&D program because they need to get some stronger communicators here. But anyway, the Rangers go to fight Vacutron, and he's there with some Tronics. And he's great design, by the way. We'll get into the look and everything later, but he's a vacuum, obviously. He is sucking out a bunch of the Morphex from stuff, but then the vacuum part that he's using turns into like a blaster, and it looks really good. He ends up firing on the Rangers, and he just dips out. He's ready to be gone. He has his mission. I'm here to get Morphex for the Cybergate. The Tronics can handle this. So he drives off or rides off in a vehicle, and this is where Ben and Betty kind of come in. They are walking around deciding to go see a movie. They don't have a coin, so they flip their tracker. It lands in the bed of the truck that the Vacutron is in, and of course that'll not come into play at all later. That isn't how Power Rangers works, but. The Rangers have been defeated, obviously, because they can't find where Vacutron is, and not defeating the monster means you lose. So they are looking for him, going through all the different sectors. I'd love to hear see a map of Coral Harbor, because whenever they're going around, looking for things, or when there's monsters, it's like this monster's in sector K13, and they always have different sectors for that. So I would be fascinated to see if someone's tried to map out what this actual place looks like. But I'm sure it's just gobbledygook that someone typed in. That sounds good for the day. But the Rangers can't find him. They get back to Grid Battle Force, and Commander Shaw tells them that Nate is also missing. The Rangers, of course, are very worried because they don't think that he is able to defend himself. But Commander Shaw says that hold your horses. Nate is more of a fighter than you know of, and that will be coming into play soon. But of course, Ben and Betty show up, apologize to the commander for losing the tracker, and then they mention that it was on the truck of the Tron that was leaving, and so they of course use this to track to the warehouse. And while the Rangers are outside, Nate is inside, and Scrozzle gives him the plan. He's like, "I need you to make me a robot," and then of course Nate, being the boy genius, puts it together. He knows they want to bring Evox out. But he immediately comes up with another plan. He's going to fix his communicator and do something that we'll get to in a second. But he fakes being afraid and starts to manipulate his plan. And basically, what's happening is he ends up finishing the robot, but he's also been working on his communicator to fix that. I assumed it was just to call Grid Battle Force and the Rangers. That is not the case, because the second the Cybergate is opened and Evox is coming out slowly, he starts wrapping around the robot like he's gonna fuse with it. Nate transports a gun, a blaster. It's called a striker morpher, I believe is what it's called, to him. He shoots at the Cybergate in the exact spot he needs to in order to mess it up. And then one of my favorite tropes in all of, especially sci-fi, he shoots the machine to shut it down, and then he runs over to the machine, shoots it 2 more times to turn it on, because you can do that both ways. And then he does like a fusion thing. He morphs, and he becomes the gold Beast Morpher Ranger. Much different design than the other Rangers. There's a little bit more to it, a little bit more intricate look, which I like. I liked it a lot more than the standard Ranger look. Still does not raise the level of Blaze and Roxy. They have some of the best looking things in the show. But so he is now the Gold Ranger, and we'll get to something else in a second. Outside, the thing is, the Rangers have been trying to get in this whole time while all this is going on, but Vacutron has taken it to them. He's just beaten them down. He hasn't had any help, no Tronics, no one else to help him out. His blaster that he was using, which is also a vacuum to suck out Morphex, he's using kind of as a sword now, so that is quite the multi-tool as a weapon. And he did his job. He got the Morphex, and he kept the Rangers out in order for them to take care of the Cybergate. But of course, inside, as I said, Nate is the Gold Ranger, and we also find out there is another Ranger. The robot behind him is also now formed the Silver Ranger. So there are now 2 new Rangers. So that's pretty cool. Scrozzle hightails it out of there, and the Nate and them go outside. Nate and the Silver Ranger go outside in order to assist the Rangers as this is happening, because they were beaten down, seriously. But they go outside. Of course, there's now a giga drone that is put in place. Roxy and Blaze are like, you need to save this. We need to stop them. So giga drone comes down, version of the Vacutron as well, or as always. And while this is going on, the primary Rangers, red, yellow, and blue, and they're also the primary Rangers. See what I did there? So the primary Rangers go out to take care of their Zords and take care of the Giga Drone. The Silver and Gold Ranger are left behind to take care of the smaller version of Vacutron. I should say Silver Ranger also very similar style to the Gold Ranger as far as the look of his actual outfit, and his suit looks great as well. So they end up fighting him. They take him out with they take these striker morphers, and they use like a double cannon blast or beast blast, whatever it's called. But they do a double blast, and that's what takes him out. On the other side, the Rangers are fighting. I think we get the first time we see Ravi's gorilla in gorilla Zord in gorilla mode, and he fires. some rockets at the Giga drone. They have like these like bananas, like banana peels, and the banana peel opens up and then hits the the drone, the Giga drone vacutron. Giga drone, yeah. And the Red Ranger, because he's got the Red Ranger and he's sucking out all of the Morphex so that the Ranger's Zord won't work. Of course, they form the Megazord, and the good guys win, as always. Um, and let's see. Yeah, the big thing is now we're back at Grid Battle Force, and we get an explanation about what happened. Basically, this robot fused with Nate and the Scarab Beetle, and so he's part human, got a little Scarab Beetle, just like they all have, the little animal DNA, and he's a robot. So they are brothers, they say, because they have fused DNA. Earlier in the episode, I'd mentioned this. Nate was talking about how basically he was sick of people babying him and wish they would take him seriously, and this is why he wants a brother. I don't know if he knows how siblings work, but that is his version of it. But either way, we now have a new Ranger, and he wants to call himself Mr. Fantastic, super handsome, strong as steel. Nate, his brother, decides to call him just Steel, and he likes it. And I should say, Steel's we'll get more into it next episode, but very over the top personality, kind of a bro. Very balances his quote unquote nerdier brother very much. And but back to the bad guy side, Scrozzle plans to fix the Cybergate, and Roxy and Blaze plan to steal the Silver Ranger so that Evox can still use him as his body. So a lot going on here. A lot in this episode. As far as Vacutron, I think this is hands down the best monster that we've had for Beast Morphers so far. I gave it a 4 for the look. Before I get into it, look, powers, plan, success, and voice. Those are the 5 categories I use to base my rating system on. 5 is the most you can get in each. I gave him a 4 for look. He's got that nice looking weapon, which is also connected to him. He's got like a canister connected on his one of his sides. That is where he sucks the Morphex into. He's got, and it's all kind of connected in like almost looks like a dread or like a Twi'lek, one of the Lucas, I think they're called, from the Twi'leks. Just a really great look. He's got 3 like kind of red eyes in the middle. Yeah, I just thought this one, it had enough more human characteristics to where it really worked to me. So 4 for look, 4 for powers. I mean, he's got 1. He's stealing all the Morphex pretty easily, I would assume, with this vacuum. He's got the blaster, and he uses it as a sword. So 1 multi-tool, but it's all incorporated into one thing, and he uses it very well. So I gave him a 4 for powers. The plan, 4. We need Morphex, and we need to open up the Cybergate. You got a monster that is built specifically for stealing Morphex, and he holds people off from the Cybergate. And because it's finally like we're going to get Evox. It's a big tease when you say the Cybergate opens. I'm assuming everyone watching this for the first time. It's like, okay, we're going to get Evox now. We're 8 episodes in. The big bad's about to show up, but that's the plan. And so I gave it 4. And I gave him a 5 for success. Again, his job was to get Morphex and to stop the Rangers so they could operate the Cybergate. He did his job, and without any help. None of the Blaze and Roxy didn't help him out at all. He did what he needed to do. So 5 out of 5. Voice, 2, could have been a 3. It's borderline there, but there were a couple moments where it got a little bit into the cheese category. If I could do my math correctly here, that is a 19 overall. Big jump up. Again, to me, the best bad guy monster we've had for Beast Morphers. So that's my review. Look forward to reviewing next week, which I think is Silver Sacrifice or Steel Sacrifice, excuse me. It's either Silver or Steel Sacrifice. Either one of those would make sense because he's the Silver Ranger. Anyway, this has been my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And check out some of the other content on YouTube. And, of course, check out the podcast where me and my dad review 3 movies a week. Thank you all for checking us out. We'll see you next time on a podcast named Tim.